Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that African football is about to get a massive glow-up, not from a new superstar player, not from a miracle stadium upgrade, but from money. Big, serious, game-changing money. We're talking billions of dollars. Yes, billions with a B. The Confederation of African Football, or CAF, is on the verge of sealing a multi-billion-dollar broadcast deal that could reshape the entire future of the sport on the continent. And the man at the center of it all? None other than CAF President Patrice Motsepe, the billionaire businessman who's been pushing to modernize and professionalize African football since he took the reins. Now here's the kicker. Motsepe revealed after a CAF Executive Committee meeting in Nairobi, Kenya, that only 2 companies are left in the race. Just 2 giants battling it out for the rights to broadcast African football for the next 8 years. 8 years of guaranteed coverage, sponsorships, and a financial injection that could finally allow African football to compete at the highest level, not just on the pitch, but in the boardrooms too. Why does this matter so much? Well, let's be real. For decades, African football has had world-class talent, but not world-class money. Players from Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, South Africa, and beyond have been lighting up Europe's biggest leagues. But back home, the infrastructure, the stadiums, the TV production quality, it's often lagged behind. Fans know it, players know it, and CF knows it. That's why this deal isn't just about broadcasting games. It's about changing the entire ecosystem of African football. Think about it. With billions flowing in, we could see better youth academies, more professional leagues, improved stadium facilities, and, of course, broadcast coverage that actually does justice to the talent on display. No more grainy feeds or dodgy streaming links where you can't even see the ball properly. Imagine polished broadcasts, high-definition replays, and coverage that makes fans worldwide go, "Wow, this is Africa's time." And Motsepe didn't hold back his excitement. Speaking to the media in Nairobi, he made it clear that this deal could turn African football around. He's not exaggerating. This is potentially the biggest broadcast agreement CAF has ever signed. And let's be honest, in football, money equals opportunity. Europe showed us that. Even smaller leagues that landed big TV deals transformed into global spectacles almost overnight. Now here's where it gets interesting. With just 2 companies shortlisted, the competition is fierce. Both know the value of Africa's football market is skyrocketing. Millions of fans across the continent tune in religiously to support their local clubs and national teams. Add in the global audience for tournaments like the Africa Cup of Nations, and you've got a goldmine. Whoever wins this deal isn't just securing rights, they're buying into Africa's football future. But let's not forget, big money deals can be tricky. The challenge now is making sure that the billions actually reach where they're supposed to, into grassroots football, into the leagues, into women's football, and not just into the hands of a few officials. Because if done right, this could be the moment African football finally gets the respect and platform it deserves. So what happens next? The final negotiations are underway, and CAF will soon announce who clinches the deal. Whether it's Company A or Company B, the real winners could be the fans who've been waiting for African football to step into the spotlight it deserves. One thing is clear. If this multi-billion-dollar deal is handled right, the next 8 years could mark the golden era of African football. Imagine future generations looking back and saying, that was the moment everything changed. And for once, instead of exporting talent to Europe to shine, Africa could build its own global powerhouse right at home. Now tell me, what would you want to see this money invested in first? Youth development, stadiums, or improving the leagues? Because one thing's for sure, African football is about to level up, and it's going to be one wild ride.
East Africa just hosted the most successful African Nations Championship in the history of the competition. Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania became the first 3 nations to co-host the event. Many have credited the leadership of Patrice Motsepe for turning African football around.
There hasn't been a competition in East Africa, an African competition. President Ruto, the head of state of Kenya, was saying to me, for the last 40 years, there hasn't been a single football competition here, and this is the biggest and most exciting competition. But We love football. Football is in our hearts, but we also recognize the broader and the bigger objective we have within football to contribute to greater unity.
Under the tenure of Motsepe, CAF is now attracting the much-needed sponsorship, and the South African businessman has been praised for strengthening CAF's financial position.
What excites me is that we are currently engaged in a $1 billion tender over a period of 8 years for African football. You know, when I became president, every member association, every country was getting, I think it was first 150,000, so we increased it immediately to 250,000. And it's now, every member association is getting more than 400,000. And the zonal unions, we've doubled what they used to get.
Africa's presence on the global football stage is also becoming more significant. Last year's Africa Cup of Nations tournament made a $72 million profit. It was 18 times more than the 2022 Afcon tournament.
No leader succeed in anything, whether it's in football or business or in any organization, without the privilege that I've had to have bright, smart, talented people. And you always try and attract people who are smarter and brighter than you are. So I'm really pleased that the result speaks for themselves in terms of what has happened in African football over the last few years. And we always believe that the success of football in Africa should form a fundamental basis for broader cooperations, for broader successes on the continents in a zone.
Motsepe says African football has proved over a period of time that the continent can compete against the best in the world.
We are so happy with the enormous success of this competition, but also to say to the rest of Africa, West Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, that African football is growing, it's succeeding. We still have some way to go, but it's becoming even more world-class. And we can confidently say that we have the ability to compete against the best in the world.
With African football minnows Madagascar having reached the final of this year's CHAN tournament is evidence that African football is growing. CAF says the increase of African teams in the 2026 FIFA World Cup from 5 to 9 teams is also a major boost for African football. Sfiso Ramara, SABC News, Nairobi, Kenya.